Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga, wisdom, and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from St. Augustine, Florida, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Florida. We're here in sunny Florida, walking barefoot on the beach, me and Mara holding pinkies, thinking about Kastuba. Sometimes we'll walk and get our feet wet. Sometimes I'll step on a shell. That's beach life. Right. People driving up their big, jacked up pickup trucks with all their cool modifications.
We're not talking about pickup trucks today, okay? Just forget that. Move on.
Everybody's into pickup trucks here. I thought I was into pickup trucks. I'm a joker compared to the pickup truck people here. It's a beach town. So how are you, Kastuba? We had a great day yesterday.
He did it again, Raghunath.
I did. I asked how you are, and not really.
I don't understand that.
You don't understand that? It's called self-absorption. I'm self-absorbed. It's called narcissism. You can't understand that. How are you? You tell me. You tell me how you are.
I'm happy to be here with you this morning, Raghunath. I treasure our times together.
Well, me too. Yeah. You know who we hung out with yesterday? We hung out with Badahari's wife, Kosha Rupa.
What about Badahari Prabhu himself?
He's in Mayapur right now.
Oh, in Mayapur. Okay.
And Sham Kishore and Amrita and their kid over at, we had great Ekadasi lunch together.
Amrita is one of our stage leaders.
Amrita is one of our stage group leaders. Everybody loves her.
Yeah.
And she's
daughter of Vishaka.
Yadabar's daughter. Yeah.
Yadabar Prabhu, yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, it was a great day.
I haven't been down to Alachua since something like 1990 something.
It's pretty much the same. No, it's great. A lot of devotees. Truthfully, we haven't been to Alachua either. We're still in St. Augustine.
Okay.
We're at the beach. Okay. So welcome to Monday, everybody. It's a new week. It's a new week to build some courage, some strength, refine our direction, work on ourselves a little better.
Yeah.
Okay. Any announcements, everybody? Miss Mara?
Where did Mara go? She left.
She just disappeared. She thinks she can just come and go. That's her new thing. She's like, well, I don't have to be on the camera all the time.
Knit for a while.
I don't know what she does, where she goes.
Well, no, I've been trying to get off camera a little more. So when people make those little clips for Instagram or TikTok, that I'm not like awkwardly sitting on the side while talking animatedly.
I'm like completely animated. She's like, bloop, 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 bloop,
I'm totally zoned out. So I've been trying to get off camera.
Animated is another word for like ranting.
Ranting, losing my mind.
And Mara's sitting there like nothing's going on.
Yeah. Okay, announcements. We have Bhakti Recovery Group meetings at 1 and 2 p.m. today. I should also announce, I never announced this one, but there's a Bhakti Recovery Group meeting at 2:30 a.m. Eastern time on Tuesday as well. So that works out to be 8:30 a.m. for Central European time on Tuesday.
2:30 a.m.
Yeah, but or 11:30 p.m. if you're
Sometimes
a night
that's
owl
when
in
people need
California.
a recovery meeting most.
Yeah, in the middle of the night, definitely.
Wait, there's a 2:30 a.m. meeting?
Yes. Are you listening to what I just
No,
said?
I wasn't listening whatsoever. I was listening to what I was gonna
I don't
say.
usually get to call you out like that. Usually it's the other way around. Yeah, it's 8:30 a.m. Central European time.
Oh,
So.
yeah.
But you can see the whole online meeting list and the links at bhaktirecoverygroup.com.
It's all there.
Yeah. And then also tomorrow morning, Ariel Castilla is giving a Patreon class to our Asana
Radhadasi.
members. Radhadasi at 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm. Patreon, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. You can be a Patreon member too if you want. If you like what we're doing, you support us at patreon.com/wisdom of the sages, because this is a community supported podcast. And I really feel like this is a community. It's like really developed more than we thought. We never thought it was going to be like this. Right? Yeah. The sage groups have a lot to do. I'm going to give credit to Kastuba. People sometimes people say, these sage groups are so good.
Loser, but he's not.
You're such a genius. And I said, no. Kastuba, that's Kastuba's idea. Kastuba
It's just
came up
one
with this
idea. We got more to do. We got a lot of work to do.
We've got things to do in this world.
We need help.
We need more
person
power.
Build a bigger team. Yeah, we got to figure this out.
Build a bigger team. Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the nugget, Rogan.
Yeah. You want a nugget today? I got some nuggets for you, my friend. Check this out. We are drowning in information, but starved. Huh?
Who is this? Who's saying this?
Oh, this is John Naisbitt. You know who that is?
I do.
Tell me.
He wrote this book called Megatrends.
Oh, Megatrends, yeah.
Yeah, John Naisbitt, he was an American author and public speaker in the area of future studies. His first book, Megatrends.
That's an old book, though, right?
It was published in 82.
Yeah, 82 is like light years behind. Someday we'll all be communicating each other with phones.
In any case, let's hear what he had to say.
Okay. In 1982, there weren't cell phones. Isn't that weird?
Actually, cell phones are weird.
Cell phones are weird, but
it's weird now. It was kind of normal back then.
I know, it's created a whole nother world. Okay. All right, here's what he says about the future. This is before the information age. He wrote this.
I know.
Yeah. We are drowning in information. We're like, no, you're not. We are.
We are.
We're drowning in information, but we're starved for knowledge.
Yeah.
If I was to write that now, I'd write, we're drowning in information, but we're starved for wisdom.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that too. Like what he's trying to convey through the word. I mean, what is knowledge? You could look at it different ways. You could just take it as knowledge. I think he may have been trying, maybe understanding or maybe wisdom could have replaced the word knowledge here. But I think in any case, even knowledge, it's like I have tons of information. Like, what is knowledge? Knowledge is, they say, it's like if you have a Venn diagram. And okay, I got to recognize this interest.
I like when you go with Venn diagrams. I light up.
So if you have a Venn diagram and you have like one circle that is like your information, or one circle is like your beliefs, right? And one circle is truth, and then where they overlap, you call it knowledge, right? How much your beliefs align with truth is what we call knowledge.
I like that.
So in one sense, we may have a ton of information, but not have any knowledge. We actually haven't understood any truth. So in that sense, okay, we can say knowledge, but I like where you're going with that too, like wisdom or even understanding. It's like, what does it all add up to? What do we do with it? How do we process it? What do we walk away with? We got tons and tons and tons of information. That was before cell phones. That was before Wikipedia.
Right.
That was before the internet.
Wikipedia. I mean, that was.
And he was saying we're drowning in knowledge.
Mr.
Naisbitt, you got no idea.
He has no idea. Yeah, I always look at information as stuff
even high-end stuff. You got the Maserati, you got the Ferrari, you got the Ford Raptor, whatever, some pimped out version of your vehicle, but you just don't know where to drive.
Yeah.
You got your Trans Am, Henry. Henry used to have a Trans Am. Whatever pimped out car you got nowhere to go. Where are you going? That's the question. So information is, where are you going with all your stuff?
Right.
I'd rather just no direction. You can't change your destination, but you can change your direction a little bit. You can't even have all the stuff you want, but you can still change your direction a little bit. We're not even criticizing stuff. You might have lots of stuff. Just we need direction. And that's what sort of wisdom literature of sacred India, wisdom literature around the world can do for us, is it just tweaks our direction a little bit, or else we get lost in the stuff. We get lost in the information. We don't even know why we're studying the information any longer. It's just like we talked about how everyone would say, you got to become more cultured. That was the thing when I was a little kid. My parents would be like, more culture. You're not cultured enough. And I was just like, well, why do I need it? Why do I need to know this poet or this? Why do I need to listen to this classical music? Why do I need it to know world? And I get it. There's some benefit there. But why? I wanted to know the why. I wasn't just anti-culture. I wanted to know the why behind it. And now we say, yeah, actually, when it has something to do with you and your own personal evolution, then those things are actually very interesting. But otherwise, they weigh us down. Information can weigh us down. I can swim and drown in information.
Yeah, I think it's like we got all this information, but we're not getting fed or trained how to think, how to process that information, right? It's like I see it everywhere I look nowadays. It's like especially in the political realm, I suppose. We have people on the left, we have people on the right, and we have all this information, and the information is coming in skewed ways. Sometimes it's a little warped, sometimes it's factual, sometimes it's not. But for instance, here's one thing I see, Raghunath, all the time.
What do you see?
Is that people don't the way that people think in ways that are entirely irrational, but their conviction isn't so strong. Like how they come to a conclusion. Like if I have a belief, and it's strong. Let's say I have a strong political belief.
Okay.
And then I enter a conversation with someone, so probably on the internet, right? and because we don't talk to human beings anymore,
especially about politics,
typing into a screen. And then, okay, so then someone has a different point of view, and they're presenting information for me to consider. But the way that I consider that information is through the filter of my belief. So if it doesn't coincide with my belief, I reject it because it doesn't coincide. Rather than allowing my belief to be altered by the information, I judge the information based on my belief. Right?
Yes.
Yes. So it's like, so it doesn't matter how clear the information is. It doesn't matter how unbiased the information is, how accurate the information is. I'm going to filter it out if it doesn't coincide with my belief. We're supposed to have our beliefs be
challenged, churned,
and adaptable to good information. So we need to know how to judge information, how to say, is this information weak or strong, and then we're meant to put our beliefs up against that information and see how it coincides and be willing to adjust the belief if the information is good. But people will reject the soundest information now, and so do we have we got tons of information. Do we have the cognitive ability to distill that information and develop an understanding that's consequential, that's not just trivial, and this is where it comes, this is where we're studying a conversation today, right, between Jadabharta, this hidden gem of brilliant insights about life and spirituality, and this king who's he was arrogant, but now he's humbled himself, and he's like, okay, I'm going to question you. I'm going to place my questions before you. I need to know more. And the information that he's sharing is consequential. It's not trivial. It's it's really like, this was what's shared through these books like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, that there's important questions about life to ask that lost in our deluge of information and our lack of ability to process it, we're not even asking the most fundamental questions like, how do I end my suffering? Like, why am I suffering? Who am I? Those kind of things,
What am I doing with my life? Where should I be going? What's my
What's the
direction in
point
this
of it?
life?
Yeah.
Why am I working so hard?
Yeah.
And thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Life before the internet.
John, you have no idea what we're doing.
You have no idea what the future is going to be like, John. If you could only look into
You
my
didn't predict
crystal
that
ball.
in your Megatrends book.
Yeah. I wonder how off he was. It's going to be crazy. I would never have thought. I was fascinated by that first cell phone. Do you remember your first cell phone? You've got 200 minutes, and then we're going to start charging you $1 a moment. What? I'm over 20 moments.
It is crazy that this thing is like that. We were walking around in this Jetson like thing with all this ridiculous information, and every free moment that we're not like have to engage with a human being, we're like.
Well, do you know, when I moved to New York City in like 2008, I just got my first iPhone. I went from my BlackBerry to my iPhone. Do you remember that switch?
I didn't have, at a certain point, my wife gave me like a cell phone. I didn't have one for a long time. I was like behind the times.
You didn't have a cell. Oh, it's because Stubby didn't have a cell phone. Isn't that cute? He's just walking around. Your wife had like the flip phones, living in the future.
Yeah, I had like a flip phone.
And then I got that iPhone 3, and I was like, oh my God, I love this thing. Because now we all hate it, but back then it's like it's an alarm clock. It's a camera. It's a voice. It's a tape recorder. It stores all my photos and all my music. Oh my God.
That was before, and you had no idea that you were going to be like watching animals kill each other, watching cars crash into each other, watching.
I only dreamed of those things.
And now it's all at your fingertips.
You know how much I get done going to the bathroom? That's like my secret meeting spot.
Oh my God.
Okay. Anyway, we never realized how much that would change the world.
Okay, let's get into like.
Now she's taking my phone from me.
You're about to open Instagram.
I was not.
Okay, come on, Ragnar. Let's focus here. Let's get into it. We got important questions to ponder. We have information, valuable information.
I thought we were moving future. I thought we were moving forward when the kitchen phone got the extended cords. Remember that one? Now I can walk practically out of the kitchen and talk on the phone.
Ragnar, you have a fascination with nostalgia.
I do have a fascination with nostalgia.
And Mara's like, yep, yeah, he does.
Interesting times.
They are.
Bell bottoms. Who would think? Okay.
Come on, Ragnar, please.
Narayanam Namaskut. Wait, are we there? Narayanam Namaskutya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatojayam Mudirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. A regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam. And by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Midatam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
Right.
Miss Mara.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 11, Text 6.
Miss Mara.
Hear that.
Coming up.
Hear Miss Mara.
Miss Mara, you gotta speak. Speak.
Reading from Canto 5, Chapter 11, Text 6.
Maybe that's your lesson today, Miss Mara. Speak up in this world.
It wasn't that
Get
she
your
wasn't- it was
voice
just
heard.
She didn't have the microphone. That was the problem.
Yeah, the microphone.
Yeah, but I still think that might be a lesson for you.
Okay.
You like that? You keep it. Okay. Stuba, you need to speak less. That's my lesson for you. That's your lesson today. Speak less. Let Raghunath speak more.
Okay, go
And
for
my
it.
lesson
As
is
long as you speak about something meaningful, Raghunath.
it's
not
all
something trivial.
meaningful. It's how you hear it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
What text are we on? 6?
6. You need
Text
to
6.
listen more, Raghunath.
Oh, my tummy is not fully healed yet from my hernia operation. And then I went up and picked up Dunya and Bali's big baby. Did I tell you that?
No.
Oh, they're beautiful, beautiful, but yet dense baby. I was like, this baby is so beautiful. I picked it up. I was like, my hernia. Oh, ever meet a baby that's just heavier than you think?
Okay. I don't pick up babies much, Raghunath. I hardly ever
You
do.
do?
I've only
Oh,
ever done
I
it in my
love
entire
picking
life.
up babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a baby
I never
guy.
had one. And then like when you never had one, you don't get used to it. And then you're like, oh man, I
Then you're
dropped
then
it.
it's then it's sort of like I could drop this thing real easily because they squirm. They squirm.
Okay. Text 6.
I just pick up people's babies wherever I see a big guy. So give me that baby. I miss a baby.
Okay. I know. I've seen you do that.
I
I've seen
do.
you
I
always sit-
rock
Can I
them. I
hold
give them
that?
a little hug. I hold them like footballs. Pat them on the back. They love getting pat on the back.
All right, Raghunath, we got Jada Bharta dropping like the Sankhya knowledge. He's going to start breaking down the material world into different elements so that we can understand our relation to it all.
Break it up. Okay, text 6, the materialistic mind. Okay, here he goes. This is Jed Bart speaking. Supposedly a dullard. Up till this moment, his whole life, he was
Entire
considered
life.
a dullard.
He never broke out like this ever before.
Ever. He never got up and sang. He never, stood up, made a public presentation. He was walking around like a dullard. Dullard is the most politically correct word we can say, and that's why we're using it. So now, we're not saying anything else. But now he's doing it for the first time. He's practically never spoken. And listen to what comes out of his mouth.
Okay.
The materialistic mind, covering the living entity's soul, carries it to different species of life. Sounds like
What?
chapter 15, right?
Yeah. There's a big right, Raghunath. There's a big connection between. This is like a more detailed chapter 15 of the Bhagavad Gita. There's like about 4 or 5 verses in the Bhagavad Gita.
This stuff is mind shattering, actually. If you've never heard this and
Yeah.
someone says something like this, the materialistic mind covering the living entity, that's the soul, the living entity's soul is the materialistic mind covering the living entity's soul carries it to different species of life. Like,
Yeah,
what?
just so many things just in that one sentence, right? Like hold it.
You can go into
be
the body of what?
Of another species.
A Quetzal?
That I find to be like the
That might be
Western
one-
mind really has to stretch to get there.
Yeah.
You know,
I
the Western
remember we were
mind,
saying that yesterday as the show was ending yesterday. I don't know if this
Yeah.
was recorded or not because sometimes we cut the show at a certain point, but
yeah, what happened?
we were saying how Mara, what's the hardest thing you could swallow, when you
Oh,
got
yeah.
into Krishna consciousness? And
Right.
she was like, I don't know. The absolute truth is a blue cowherd boy. I was like, okay,
That's a
besides
stretch.
that, I was like, come on, that's not such a big. And then she was like, I don't know, reincarnation, but I think that's a big
Oh.
thing. We can
Oh,
understand
oh,
how
okay.
we change, our mind changes, but another species.
No, okay. When Mara said that, we responded by saying, "Come on, like everybody gets that, like like that's one of the." But maybe that's what now I get it. Mara, was it particularly when you said reincarnation? Were you talking about like being born in a different species in particular?
In the mic, Mara, stand up and be counted here.
Yeah. Yes. The idea that we
Yeah, okay,
travel
now it
between,
makes-
like different bodies of animals and things like that.
See, yesterday we were
Yeah.
sort of poo-pooing on your idea. Like we're saying, what's the matter with her? She doesn't get reincarnation. We're changing every moment. We're changing every thought. Every piece of food in my mouth, I change. Come on, Mara. But I get it.
Yeah.
You're saying like, how can I become a wagtail, a white-tailed deer, a pig with a snout? Come on. You can.
Yeah, You know, when I like speak about these kind of things publicly, like say at a yoga. Yesterday I did yoga teacher training, Prema Yoga, out in Brooklyn.
Little plug for Prema Yoga in Brooklyn.
Prema Yoga in Brooklyn, and what I found over the years is if I begin to discuss the idea of the soul as
Mhm.
being eternal, right, as being irreducible, as being an element that has the opposite qualities of matter, whereas if we take the entire universe, we can divide into two categories of energy: material, spiritual, right?
Mhm.
So this is Vedanta, right? The material energy, its nature is that it's constantly shifting, it's always moving, right? The elements come together to create a form, and then they split apart, then they take on another form, and it never stops. It's always shifting. So that means our bodies, are the bodies of those we love, are
Shifting
property.
forms.
It's constantly shifting forms. Whereas the soul, spiritual energy, is irreducible. You can't break it down. You can't cut it in half. It's not made up of different elements. It is its own element that is changeless.
And
right?
that's what we are. Isn't
And
that
that's the-
amazing to think of that?
That's what
You're
we
not
are.
even a man. Some people say, wait a minute, I'm just a man. No, you're not. I'm just a woman. No, you're not. I'm straight. I'm gay. I'm trans. I'm Republican. I'm Democrat. No, you're not any of those things. Stop saying it. The more you say it, the more you're cementing yourself to the illusion. You know what you are. The only safe thing you can say is, I'm a pure spirit soul. And I forgot.
It's the fundamental question, right? Who are you? Who?
You imagine if
Who?
everyone just walked around like, I'm a pure spirit soul, and treated everybody else like they're pure spirit souls. Imagine that world, Mr. Kostuba. Imagine what that world would be like.
Because there'd be respect.
Everybody would be walking around with that heart mudra. Here you go. Here you go. We don't hate each other. We love each other. You know why? Because you're pure spirit soul. I'm pure spirit soul. And I'm going to give you a little bit of dignity. And you're going to give me a little bit. I don't want your dignity, but you're going to give it anyway. Because you know why? Because you're a pure spirit soul and you get that. Why don't we just get that instead of putting ourselves in all these other temporary boxes that aren't us anyway? It's like a massive costume party. We're trying to find our tribe in a costume party. Yeah, I'm going to hang out with all the people dressed like werewolves. Yeah, I'm going to hang out with all my people dressed like vampires. No, I'm going to hang out with all my people dressed like cowboys. Why not underneath the costume? We start to learn how to connect with people underneath the costume, sir.
That's a very interesting way to look at it. That our world is a big costume party, because that's what we're just putting on different outfits.
For a moment. For a moment, you can change your political parties, you can change your sex and gender, you can change your religion. Even religion is changeable. That's why I like this Sanatana Dharma. It's the eternal function of the soul. That's what they say in India. It's the path of Sanatana Dharma, the eternal function of the soul. Doesn't matter if you say, well, I'm Islamic. Okay, you still get a soul. You're still a soul. You're not actually Islamic. That comes after a soul. You're not actually a Christian or a Jew. That comes after what you identify yourself as. And the foundational.
I'll share something with you, Raghunath.
You got something? You got something for me?
Yeah. What we're discussing here, this is called spiritual.
Right?
It's a spiritual Satyam,
Shabda
truth.
Brahman.
So we're talking about, people throw the word spirituality around without defining it, without really understanding what spirituality means. Raghunath, please, come on.
All right. Okay.
Look at me.
Do it again.
Look me in the eye.
It's Mara's fault. She's scrolling through the message board. How am I supposed to not look?
Does he ever get past this 4-year-old kind of making excuses level? Or you have to work on it.
That's name calling, my friend. We don't accept that.
I didn't call your name. I talked about your behavior. You see, it's like he just pulls the 4-year-old stuff. Mary, your mission is to keep pointing these things out to him gently, with compassion. Okay, gradually. You okay?
Oh,
Okay.
Go on.
Okay. Now, this is what I want to share with you, Ragnar. We're talking about spirituality, which means understanding the distinction between spiritual energy, which has personality, right? It has feelings. It's a person, and it's eternal and irreducible, and the material energy, which is constantly shifting. Now, you brought that in, and you mentioned that we can change all those external things. Our body can change, even our species can change, our religion can change, right? It can change
Right.
overnight. We can convert. It's not who we are.
Mm.
Now, I was once had a conversation with a person who was like a leader, maybe even like the leader,
Sounds like a poem. I once had a conversation with a leader.
okay,
Go on.
and the leader of like a Hindu group.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that got you. That got you.
Now I'm
Hindu
interested.
nationalist group.
A Hindu.
Okay. So
Prabhupada was very good at like getting even with that to get right to the bottom. Actually, we're not even Hindus. We are pure spirit souls.
well, okay. Well, you see, that's what was disturbing this person. They're kind of like, it was like kind of, they had like a Hare Krishna. It was like, okay, Hindu speaking to Hare Krishna person, and they were kind of like, I guess I'd call it like, I like this person too. I'm in no way trying to disparage them. I appreciate who they are and the work that they do. But they were kind of like, it was almost like they were annoyed with Prabhupada that he didn't fly the Hindu flag.
Right.
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 And they were accusing him of taking the Hindu moniker when it suited him and not taking it when he didn't want to use it, you know?
Interesting.
It's like,
Interesting.
you're Hindu or not, stand up and be counted and stand here with us. And
Right.
it was kind of like that. Like, why? And I was trying to explain what Srila Prabhupada was trying to do, right? That he was, that although he come, although the Gaudiya Vaishnava faith is, in a historical sense, is coming out of India and all that, and that massive cluster of beliefs stemming from the Vedic literature that we call Hinduism.
Sure.
What he was trying to draw people to this idea of spiritual knowledge, to the to let's focus on what is Sanatana. Let's focus on what is eternal. Let's truly understand this. That's more important than a Hindu identity or any other identity. And the conversation, I think it was inconclusive. I think, yeah, but still, it was like that.
Right.
Fine, no problem. We have different perspectives and viewpoints, but this is what I want to share with you. At a certain point, that person reached out to me because they were doing like a promotional kind of campaign, their Hindu organization, and they needed African American Hindus.
So they came to you.
So they came to me, right?
Okay.
Like, so my thought immediately was like, you're a Hindu organization. It means you're the head of an organization that represents millions of people. But when you need an African American Hindu, you have to turn to Srila Prabhupada.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why is that? It's because he took all of this and he presented it based. He filtered out all the externals, and he presented spiritual knowledge free from the external temporary tags, and
Sure.
making it very relatable to people of all different backgrounds. Right, his mission was to take this and spread it around the entire world, to every town and village, to every race, creed, color, nationality, all of it. And he did that by boiling it down to this spiritual truth, without a religious moniker that you tag onto it. And that's why he was so effective at communicating it. That's why within 12 years, he spread this around the entire globe.
It's pretty amazing.
To people that had not even an introduction to it.
Nothing.
Right? That's why he could reach people that were non-Indian, non-Hindu, because he really, he again and again and again, he stressed this, boiling it down to we are spirit, and even saying we're not even Hindu, right? It was very meaningful. It was brilliant, and strategic and truth.
I think in this time, in this age of costume parties, this is exactly what we need to go to. With people, because people like ask me things like, well, what are you? Ever have people ask that question, like, well, what are you anyway? And they try to put you in a box and figure you out, and either sort of like, so they can sort of like be either above you or just try to understand you. And guess what? We are just much more than a pretty package that you can file on a shelf. We are beings. Each one of us are very unique, and there's a lot to unpack in each one of us. And I don't like to be figured out within a conversation that's happening in a moment, in a passing conversation. So I always say, with what am I? I'm a pure spirit soul. That's my religion. I'm a pure spirit soul, and we're trying to find ourselves. And anybody, even people who don't like Hindus or Krishnas or Eastern philosophy or yogis like that, anybody has to like stop and say, okay, he's not going to play that game. He's not going to step into the package, and then really get to know you as a person, and then really understand the philosophy. It's a great doorway to open to explain the philosophy. And when you just explain the philosophy like that, and then you say, yeah, and we accept God as Krishna. God can be in the form of a blue cat. Then it makes sort of like the whole thing makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah. And so that, getting back to what we were discussing about Mara,
let's talk about Mara more.
When she said yesterday, and again, we don't know if it made it onto the show or if it got edited off the end, but when she said, we're saying, like, what was the biggest doubt, biggest hurdle for you to wrap your head around when you first got into this? She said reincarnation. You and I were kind of reincarnation, kind of what brought us into it. It was kind of like, it was like a real simple first fundamental step. But this is the point that, and what I was started saying earlier is, when I speak publicly and I speak about the soul being different from matter, and then I tie that into reincarnation, right? That we're all moving through different bodies, and people are like, okay, let's stretch the imagination. I can manage to pull on my imagination and stretch it around that idea, at least as a possibility.
Sure.
But it's another big, you think you've stretched it out maximum, and then you say, but they took it further. And then they said that actually it's not just human bodies. It's not like there's a human soul. That they recognize that wherever we see birth, growth, reproduction, gradual dwindling, ultimately death, that the soul is there. Okay, that logically makes sense.
Right.
Okay, where do we see birth, growth, reproduction, et cetera, ultimately death? Well, we see it in humans. We see it in animals. We even see it in plants. Okay, where are you going with this? So what these ancient texts are saying is that the soul is in all of these. Okay. And they're also saying that the soul within all of these different forms is of the same quality. It's not like there's a human soul and the doggy soul and the caterpillar soul and the
dog
trees.
heaven. Ever hear that one?
Yeah.
Where did the dog go when he died? He went to dog heaven. Like this crazy kennel in the sky. Dogs flying around with wings.
Barking. Is anybody going there to feed them?
No one's feeding them in dog heaven.
So that idea, which is perfectly logical, is a big stretch, for a lot of Western minds. So we're hitting that all right here in this first sentence of this thing, right? The materialistic mind covering the living entity soul, carries it to different species of life. We've got a programmed computer, and according to the programming, it's carrying us into our next form. It may be human, it may be animal, it may even be plant. It all depends on the program.
I don't want to be a plant. I don't want to be a plant. No way. Are you kidding? I mow lawns. Being a plant must be like, oh no, here he comes with that.
Getting a haircut.
With that 180-degree turn Kubota tractor.
Okay. All right. Let's read the second sentence of the first verse that we're reading today.
Oh, hey, you know what? These things are meant to be teased
No,
out.
totally. I'm into it. I'm
Due to the mind, the living entity suffers.
hold it. No, you skipped the
X6.
second sentence.
This is called.
Oh,
This is
this is called, I was reading the third sentence.
Yeah.
This is called continued material existence.
Mm.
Due to the mind, the living entity suffers or enjoys material distress and happiness.
Ups
Right?
and downs. Yeah.
Ups and downs due to the mind. Being
Because
thus
the mind is
illusion-
made out of matter, so it's constantly shifting.
Mm.
Right? Yeah.
Being thus illusioned, the mind further creates pious and impious activities and their karma. And thus the soul becomes conditioned. We are a conditioned soul. We think this is normal. I got news for you. Normal is a setting on a washing machine. There is no normal. Everything is like shifting around in the material world.
It sure is, right?
Right?
It sure is.
Everything is shifting. And what's normal for you in normal shifts every decade. We're wearing bell bottoms. We're wearing skinny leg jeans. We're wearing Jenko jeans. That shifts. Hair, right? Everybody's got a beard. You don't have a beard nowadays. You're a weird Costa, but you are a weirdo without a beard. Look at me and Jeff Eisenberg. We're
I?
completely cool. Look at you and Henry. No beards. Get a beard, guys. Wax your beard.
Raghunath, you see,
But in the 80s, right? If you had
attached to the
beard-
costume,
if you had a beard in the 80s, oh my God, you'd be like, who is this? You know, Jack Daniels, redneck,
nostalgia,
right?
nostalgia.
So it's one of those things. Hairstyles change, fashions change, cars change, you know, phones change. Everything's changing in the material world. There is no normal in the material world.
We just
So-
need to know that, right? We just need to come to that simple understanding that everything's changing, but us.
But us, right?
You know, I remember a long
We
time
sh-
ago.
We're eager for eternality. The soul wants something to last, and it doesn't.
That's right.
It's a little
I remember
heartbreaking.
Something
Go.
like it may have been over a year ago, but we did a nugget. Tell me if you remember it, or maybe someone here can help us nail it down. But it had to do with someone saying that their kid came back from school and they
Mhm.
shared what the teacher shared with them. And it had something to do with, like, imagine that your mind is like a fishbowl or something like that, or like a koi pond or something like that. Is the pond, Maturananda's there, and that your emotions are the fish swimming around in it,
Mhm.
right? And is that it? Yeah, Maturananda is saying that's it. And you are just watching them swim around. It was something like that, right? And the
Yeah.
person thought, they never taught me that in school, right? In other words, you know, imagine that. In other words, if someone sat down with us when we're young and explained this, that we tend to identify to consider our emotions us going through changes,
Mm.
and how vulnerable we are because it's constantly shifting. But no, the teacher's saying that's not. Think of it this way. Think of it that, like, your mind is this pond and your emotions are swimming. They're always moving. They're always moving in it. And you sit here as a separate observer and watch the mind like that. Watch your emotions shift. How much stability that gives you, you know, and if you learn that as a child, what an advantage that gives you as you move through life, you know, rather than feeling entirely vulnerable and entirely susceptible to our constantly changing moods, that we recognize that they're going to come. Oh, and it's painful. Okay, but it's going to go, you know? So it's just a fundamental spiritual knowledge that matter constantly changes, but I never change. Hold on to that, you know, and have some stability as you pass through all this.
How much more peace of mind will we have in this world? Thank you, Mr. Wisdom.
Yeah, whoever that was.
That was
I forget
good.
what that came from. We got to find that one.
Well, I'm calling you Mr. Wisdom.
Maybe someone could Google that, find that for us. We can read it like more accurately.
Mara's trying to Google it, but she's
Okay. Mara's
running
trying
into brick walls.
Okay.
Okay, being thus due to the mind, the living entity suffers or enjoys material distress and happiness. Being thus illusioned, the mind further creates pious and impious activities and their karma, and thus the soul becomes conditioned.
some of our activities, we follow our mind. It brings us over here. It brings us over there, and then we act accordingly. And some of those actions bring, we could call it pious activity. It brings a pleasant karmic result, good
Mhm.
karma. It's sometimes our mind drags us into other places and influences us to act in other ways, and that brings us impious activities or bad karma. Something unpleasant comes our way,
Hmm.
and we're just attached to the rope, and it's pulling us in this direction and that direction. We're so weak, you know.
We're so weak. The mind makes the living entity within this material world wander through different species of life.
That's
And-
what Mara was having trouble with. Stretch that mind. You're there. Has your mind fully stretched around it, Mara?
Have you fully accepted our cult teaching yet?
The dogma.
Getting closer. The other thing that I realized I was struggling with in the beginning, that I was just like, what is Shalagram Sheila's? Govardhan Sheila's? Like, I was like, there's a rock on your altar and you guys are painting
that I
eyes
can
on it?
understand.
Yeah.
That one I can
I was like,
understand.
I
Holy,
get
you're worshiping a
everything
rock?
else. I understand the dolls on the altar. Okay. I was like, but the rock with the like eyes glued on there.
And the lips. Sometimes they put lips on my
We're
shoulder.
gonna. You had Mara over there and a couple other people, and you're demonstrating your puja, and you're thinking they all think I'm so deep and spiritual right now.
And Mara's like, he's worshiping a rock. What's the matter with this guy?
Who is? I thought this guy was normal. He's like nuts.
He was
He's
saying
putting
stuff
lip-
that
he's
seemed
putting
logical
lips
and
on a
made sense.
rock. He's putting lip. Yes, I think I got to keep my puja a little more private. Now she's attached to those rocks.
That's right.
Yes. Now she's knitting the rocks.
That's
Scarves.
That's
She's
right.
fully bought in. The rocks are cold in winter.
That's right, Mara. She's fully indoctrinated.
Yeah, once you start knitting a scarf, yeah,
You're in.
You've bought in. Now, some of the new people are like, yeah, Mara went for it, but I won't go for it. I'm much more intelligent than Mara. Huh? Okay. No, you will. Oh, doubters, you will. You'll be knitting scarves for stones very soon.
Not ordinary stone.
You think she's
God.
just knitting me scarves and Kostuva scarves? Stones.
Okay.
Little bitty scarves.
Keep going, right?
The mind makes the living entity within this material world wander through different species of life. And thus, the living entity experiences mundane affairs in different forms as a human being, demigod, fat person, skinny person, and so forth.
It's a costume party.
It's a costume party. It's a great analogy.
But it's almost like musical chairs costume party. Like everyone's changing costumes.
Ready,
during the
switch.
party.
Yeah.
Take off my cowboy hat, put on the mustache. Now I'm a pirate.
But that's what it is. We're laughing, but that's what it is.
That's what it is. And we're like, no, I am a pirate. And you're not a pirate, you ass.
we're about to switch. Come on.
We're about to
I
switch
hate
in a
pirates.
moment.
Yeah. I hate.
And if you hate, the interesting thing is, whomever you're hating right now, there's
You're gonna
a
switch to
very
it.
great chance you're going to switch to that, because hate is an intense type of meditation, isn't it? Isn't it?
Raghunath, this. We talked about that. A few weeks ago, we talked about that Battlestars book and that story in it about like the submarines going down.
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and all the people are going to die in it. And
Yeah.
it gave you just enough. I don't know what the literary term is, but just enough like character development. In it.
It's about the guys who were dying in a submarine.
Yeah, and so it described these naval or marine people in a submarine. It gets hit by a torpedo. It sinks down to the bottom of the ocean, and it gave you just a little bit of character development, so you could kind of understand who each person down there was. One person was thoughtful, one person was arrogant, one
person was in denial.
This and like that, and then it describes as they die, the next birth each one takes.
Oh,
now I think someone's got to make a movie where you really play with this idea a lot more. Where you're talking about multiple births, where you're talking about people's attitudes and mentalities, people's mindsets, and how it's directing them into different forms. You know, why not really flush that out and really play with that, you know, in a far more developed way? That to me, that's the kind of thing that's going to help people's minds expand. You know,
I like
thinking
that.
present it with real, because that's what's being said right here, right? We're a human being, we're a demigod, we're a fat person, we're a skinny person, and so forth. We're switching costumes constantly, and it's a fact. You know, time is a relative thing. You know, time is like what's a long time or short time. It in one sense is not. There's no difference, right?
There is no long time, short time. I'm
yeah,
like I'm almost 60 years old. I'm
And you feel
57.
like you're a
I'm
kid.
57, and when I hit 60, there's going to be a giant bell going off, like bong. Once you say I
it through
am
your head.
60, it's like you can't dance around, you know, interpreting your age. Well, you know, I'm not that old. I'm not that old. Once you hit 60, that's that's the retirement time.
Yeah.
That's like AARP. That's when you start getting all those AARP newsletters in the mail. Okay, retirement, you get discounts for this. You can go in, you can move into a retirement village at that point. Once you hit that point, you can't fool yourself any longer.
Okay.
Yes, Mara says some of them are 55. Thank you very much, Miss Mara. You're getting up there too. You're no spring chicken.
But the point is that, you know, it is a costume party. It is that we're changing, you know, we're changing these costumes rapidly. And we are, and Jutta Barth is trying to help the king understand that's the fact. You're thinking you're the king. You're just wearing the king costume for a moment, and you're about to take it off and switch into another costume. Think about that. Understand that. If you don't understand that, you don't understand life. You've got information, but you don't really know anything. You don't really have any knowledge. You don't know how to.
You got no direction. You're just like running your car into a wall, and it's not going anywhere. It's not moving anywhere.
Yeah.
There's no directional there. Yes. And let's just stop there.
Okay, let me stop right there.
We'll pick up on that tomorrow. We'll leave that as a cliffhanger. There's no.
And then
There's no
come back tomorrow to
directional.
find out.
Even Raghunath didn't know where he was going with that. I had no direction in that statement. It's hard to do a podcast every day and come up with new exciting
That's right.
analogies. All right, Miss Mara.
All right, I got some good stuff to do.
Miss Mara had
Good
a
stuff.
goodie.
Knowledge is where belief. No,
What's with this guy? What is he doing?
knowledge is where belief and truth overlap.
Ooh, knowledge.
Yeah, that's Venn
is
diagram.
where
right there.
truth
Yeah.
and
Belief.
okay.
You like
All
that?
right.
You can't change your destination, but you can change your direction.
Yeah. Yep. No, overnight. I said you can't
Don't you
change.
change if you change your direction? Don't you change your destination?
You can't change your.
We need clarification on that one. Right
I
back.
gotta work that.
We'll come back with clarification. Don't put information through the filter of your belief.
Right. It's the other one. You measure you adjust your belief according to sound information.
Right.
Not that you judge information based on your belief.
How about you can't change your destiny overnight, but you can change your direction.
Overnight. Did it say overnight in there? That makes more sense to me.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
overnight. That's what.
Overnight.
Overnight.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
We're trying to find our tribe at a costume party.
Oh yeah,
It's ridiculous.
these are my werewolf buddies.
Hold it. They just changed.
Wait a second, guys. I thought we were gonna stay werewolves.
We're more than a pretty package.
Yeah. So much more.
Some of us aren't even that.
Identify as a pure spirit soul.
Yep, that's what today.
T-shirt.
There is
there.
no normal.
There's no normal.
Normal's a setting on a washing machine.
We are eager for eternality.
We are. We
Dying
want
for it.
something
Looking
lasting.
for it, sniffing for it. Where is it?
We're all changing costumes rapidly at every moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Quick change. Mm.
Hate is an intense meditation.
It is. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Hate's an intense
is.
meditation.
And
And this better be good.
You'll be knitting scarves for stones soon too.
Good one.
Soon enough. We're all gonna be knitting scarves for stones. If you're
That's a good
lucky.
one. That's a good one.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Woo! It's a fun show today. I could do that whole show again. That's the mood I'm in today. All right, I'll do it tomorrow then. How about that? I'm back to my long walks. Put in 8.8 miles yesterday. Yeah, 8.8. I wanted to mention 200-hour Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Vinyasa Yoga teacher training at Super Soul Farm this summer, July 13th to July 28th. Go to my link tree on my Instagram. I link in my bio, and you can find out more. That's with me, Cindy Lunsford, and Bobby Marchand. Also, the Wisdom of the Sages retreat in Italy. I think there's 2 spaces left. If you're interested, go to wisdomofthesages.com. That's happening at the end of June to June 27th to July 4th. And Wisdom of the Sages retreat in upstate New York at Super Soul Farm. That's happening. With Satchidananda Swami, it's happening. We got some day passes left for that, or off-site. Yeah, otherwise it's all sold out.
Offsite. Okay.
We can recommend some Airbnbs. Yeah. Oh, Lisa Tuttle. That was very nice. She said, hope you're feeling good, Raghu. I am feeling good, Lisa. I'm so glad I'm feeling good. I am feeling good. Feeling really good. I believe in this stuff. I believe in this stuff. I believe that God can manifest in stone. Why not?
But
I
does that
believe God
belief?
be
But
a young or her
does
child.
that belief
Why not?
overlap with truth?
I believe that the soul can be eternal, that I'm not actually Italian. Why not? What's eternal? I believe that I'm not a boy. That's eternal. I believe that I'm a spirit soul lost in the material world, trying desperately to figure my way out, hungry for wisdom. That makes sense.
I believe
I
I
believe
can fly.
They're not
I believe I can
eternal.
touch the sky.
I believe I can.